Why do you keep denying your masculine and feminine energies? And what would life look like if you accepted both? All right. I want to welcome everyone to another great episode of the Breakthrough Balls Podcast, the Daily Recharge. I'm your host, Jovie J, Sumner, and today I want to kick off the men's daily protocol with why do you keep denying your masculine and feminine energies, and what would your life look like if you accepted both? So let me see if I can backtrack a little bit to see or to just paint a picture of where today's daily protocol comes from. It comes from, I was at an event with Tony Robbins. This was a UPW event. And Tim Bradley, who is a specialist in a methodology of body healing work called Egoscue. There's a book called The Egoscue Method, which is a phenomenal book and a phenomenal method if you are someone who deals with a lot of pain in your body, or if you're just going through things with your body where you're not understanding what's going on with your body and how you're feeling. And so for several years, matter of fact, the last several years, I think in one particular part of my body, which has been my shoulder, I've been feeling a lot of energy just stuck and just trapped in that part of the body. And it just seems like the more I've tried, the more I have felt this energy it's just being stubborn. It doesn't want to come out. It doesn't want to be released. And so I'm thinking to myself, I got to release this energy I've been holding on to. I got to release this pain. I got to release this hurt, this anger, and all of these different emotions so I can be free. And so I'm at the event and I look up and I see Tim Bradley. Now, Tim works with everyone from, NFL players, probably NBA players. I mean, just a lot of really notable people that are probably famous, and he works with these people. He's a specialist. I mean, really an expert at what he does. And so, and a really cool and down-to-earth guy, might I add. And he works at a lot of the events with Tony as well. For that reason of helping people, make shifts in their physiology and get into a peak state and change their body. And so I see Tim talking to somebody. And so I go up to him and I say, hey, Tim, it's great to meet you. Just really want to thank you because he had taught me some stuff previously that during an event that had really helped me find my way and make some shifts. And so I said, I just wanted to tell you how much I really appreciate what you do and how it helped me. And I said, I have a question I wanted to ask you. And I just proceeded to tell him the same thing that I said in the beginning of the podcast about my shoulder and having this energy trapped in my shoulder and how much trouble it had been giving me. And before I really could even finish, Tim just went ahead and said, you're out of balance. He said, you're too masculine and you got to get in touch with your feminine side. Now, this threw me off because one of the things that, I had learned to do is become more polarized in my masculine energy. And the reason being, and let me just put this out there, if you're a man in a relationship with a heterosexual woman, or if you're in a heterosexual relationship, you have to be polarized in order for your relationship to remain and maintain its attraction. If a man and a woman don't maintain that polarity, if one becomes too masculine, the other becomes too feminine, typically speaking, or if they become too alike in their energies, in other words, too feminine energies or too masculine energies, there will be a repulsion of attraction. Just like when we were kids and we would take the magnets and put it together, you put the same side, the north side and the north side, they repulse each other. They push one another away, which in relationships is oftentimes a lot of times why if a relationship doesn't maintain that polarity of masculine and feminine, it will tend to disintegrate. It will tend to, fall apart over time. So in relationships, that's very important. However, there are other areas of life where we may need to bring a little bit more balance into our lives. So in my case, I had become overly masculine, overly polarized. And what Tim, he was so personable and so humorous, but he just said, you got to get in touch with the little girl in you, and he was being funny. And he was just teasing though and saying, bring that feminine side into balance with your masculinity because you're way too masculine. And what's happening is it's causing you to feel the way that you're feeling, that trapped energy, that stuck feeling. So briefly today, we're going to do a quick overview of masculine and feminine energies and just help you get an understanding of how these energies work, help you get an understanding of if you're out of balance or you're depolarized, how you can get polarized, or how you can bring yourself back into a bit more of balance, just like I've been having to do, and I'm still continuing to work on that even now as we're speaking. So let's just start off with, we'll just give a few traits. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we'll give a few of the feminine traits. And again, both men and women can have these energies. It's not, don't look at it like a black or white thing. As human beings, we all have these energies. What your core is who you are at your core. However, that doesn't mean that you don't need to accentuate or tap into the other parts of yourself, because to do so would probably make you one-dimensional, or you would start to have some issues like the issues I was having by becoming and being too masculine, okay? So first, let's just start out with this. The feminine energy is always trying to fill itself up. The feminine energy always wants to experience love, which is a beautiful thing. We think about how our mothers raised us, how much they loved us. That is a beautiful thing. The feminine energy always wants to be understood and oftentimes wants to make small things big. Another trait of the feminine energy is the feminine energy loves being stimulated by praise. Now, I'll stop right there and we'll hop over to the masculine energy. The masculine energy is an energy that tends to forget, loves to be on the go. The masculine energy makes big things small. And the masculine energy always wants to experience more freedom. We're trying to empty ourselves, if you will. And again, I would refer you to David D'Angelo's book. I've talked about that book several times already. It's not the only book I'll be talking about. We'll be talking about a lot of great books, a lot of great works that will help you out as we go along in this podcast to get you in the right direction. But for now, we're gonna talk about his book, because his book is really a very simple blueprint of understanding how you as a man work and what the feminine energy will be attracted to, and how the feminine energy can operate in your life, and how to deal with the feminine energies in your life as well, whether that's your relationship or with yourself. So with that being said, we have to understand that you don't want to deny one energy at the expense of the other, which obviously, again, is what I was doing. Men, we tend to want to work. I'll never forget several years ago during COVID, I had gotten into this thing of, I was like a fucking Spartan. Wake up, go to the gym, train, work out. I felt like Arnold, I felt like Conan, I was a barbarian. I was a beast, focused on the outcome, focused on the goal, right? I mean, go. It was fun. It was a powerful feeling. I loved that powerful feeling. I loved that tough guy feeling. And I hung out with guys who were tougher than me. And they were badasses. And they still are. The old school guys are always some tough son of a bitches. If you got old school OGs in your life, appreciate them, honor them, show them love, because they will fucking show you the way if you'll shut the fuck up and listen. And there's some tough sons of bitches. You best believe it. So, I come along from a time where I got one foot on one side and one foot on the other. My mother loved me dearly. My father, he was one of those tough old school guys. And I've got some OGs in my life to this day who are still cut from that cloth. And they make sure, I stay solid in the masculinity. And I appreciate them for that. However, I had started to notice that this is around the time I started to have the issues in my shoulder. And fortunately for me, at the time, I was involved with a really beautiful soul. And she was a very feminine woman, a beautiful soul, very successful. And as I think back now, had it not been for her, I probably at that time would have experienced even more difficulties than I was working to overcome during that time. And the reason why is because she was helping to fill the void of femininity in my life that I was too polarized to experience within myself. And oftentimes in our relationships, especially again, if you have a beautiful queen in your life, you're involved with the beautiful feminine energy and you're a masculine energy, that's exactly what that feminine energy has been brought into your life to do. It helps to add more balance. In our lives as men, we tend to think, again, I'll quote one of my favorite movies is Conan. And I was just listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger being interviewed by Grant Cardone recently. And he quoted a great quote from the movie Conan, which is he talks about, what is best in life. And Conan has this favorite quote that he says, when he's asked by, I guess, the person who was like his slave or his taskmaster about, what is best in life. And there's this famous quote that he has from the movie when he's asked that question. And he's like, to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentations of the women. That is good. And that's exactly how he quoted it during this interview. As a man, the warrior in us tends to be hyper-focused on the mission, the outcome, the objective. Beautiful thing. Beautiful, powerful thing. However, there is more than one dimension to life, and there is more than one arena to life. And if we are not careful, we can overwork our warrior. We can exhaust our warrior side of ourselves and burn the warrior side of ourselves out. And again, this is what the beauty of that feminine energy brings to our lives. And this doesn't have to be external. This can be from within as well. So we're looking for a space, or we're looking for a place in our own lives to ask ourselves, where can I connect with my feminine energy more? Or if you may be more on your feminine side too much, where can you reconnect in your life with your masculine side more? So we want to go from either one of those two questions, like, where can I connect with my feminine side more? Where can I connect with my masculine side more? And it's not necessarily that you're looking for a total balance. It may just be in a specific area of your life where you have fallen out of balance or become too polarized. So my case in point, my father, beautiful human being, very masculine man, old school guy, muscle car type of guy. The side of me that is more like my father loves working all the time. work, produce, money, handle your business. Now, my father always spent time with his family, so let me clarify that. But he definitely was a workhorse, is a workhorse, even to this day in retirement. And I honor my father for that, because without having him to model, I wouldn't know what that was about. My mom, a beautiful feminine energy, gave me the opposite of that. So earlier in my life, I was a bit more like my mom, too in touch with the feminine, totally out of touch with the masculine. And so I was a beautiful person, but I wasn't getting shit accomplished. I wasn't getting things done, produced. And then I went from one extreme to the other. I became more like my father to the exclusion of my feminine side. And now I was overly productive, like Tim Bradley was saying to me, to the point of I was having issues in my body, stuck energy, inflexibility. So I didn't feel free anymore. I felt like I had energy trapped up. So we want to look at where in our life we can begin to tap into what's most needed for where we're at. Now, when it comes to business, obviously business is a masculine sport. When we go into the gym and we're hitting the weights, that is a masculine sport. However, there are other areas we can tap into, even within those arenas, where the feminine can be totally powerful. Case in point, if you work for someone that is a powerful person, you work up under them, or maybe you have a business deal to do with them, oftentimes that person knows they're powerful. Everyone kisses their ass. The feminine has the ability to throw that masculine, overly masculine energy off with great humor, or even a sense of flexibility that the masculine sometimes, when it's overpolarized, may lack, because it's more rigid. It's more of like the oak tree. And the feminine tends to be a bit more like the water. And as Bruce Lee so famously said, be like water, my friends. Why? Because water can adapt and change, and water can be powerful, or water can be calm and still, just like a stream. So look at your life and begin to see where you may be too polarized to one extent or the other, and where you can maybe find a balance. Now, again, let me reiterate this. You don't want to be balanced in every area. That will cause a neutral energy. So if it's in your relationship, you can be overly masculine or overly feminine. That is not really the goal. The goal is to be polarized. The polarization keeps the attraction. Remember, we talked about the magnets. It keeps the attraction between the north side of the magnet and the south side of the magnet, the North Pole, South Pole. It keeps the attraction, which keeps you where you need to be at. However, you don't want to be overly masculine or overly feminine, because now what happens is you tip the scale and you don't allow for strength, power, or flexibility. You don't allow for understanding. You don't allow for some of the other elements of your life that need you, because you're only operating in one arena, whether you know it or not. And it may feel good, it may feel powerful, it may feel strong, but oftentimes this is what causes men to build and burn, which is a vicious cycle too many of us have experienced over and over and over again. And the reality is this: until you stop and figure out where you need to rebalance between the masculine and the feminine energies, you will continue to build and burn, because you'll continue to go, go, go. And that's what many of us were taught to do as men, and what many of us saw our fathers and forefathers doing when we were growing up. And it is a powerful strategy, a beautiful strategy, a warrior king strategy. However, even the warrior and the king need breaks to regroup, to re-strategize, to go into the general's tent, to reassess where we are, where we're headed to, what's working, what's not working. And to do so may be the single most important thing you do in your game throughout the year. Bar none, I do this at least a minimum of 4 times throughout the year. Minimum. And I'm suggesting you do the same, especially if you're busy. If you don't have time to reassess your life and where you're at or out of balance at, or need to make some shifts and pivots, then you're going to lose your game in one area, I guarantee you, my friend, maybe even more. However, if you will measure daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever works best for you, I guarantee you, your percentage of winning your game dramatically increases. So as always, I'm going to leave you with this. Take some time, whenever you have the time, or make the time, and figure out where in your life do you need to rebalance or tap into your masculine or your feminine, or perhaps it's both energies in your life for yourself, your health, your relationships, your business and finances, and your spirituality. That's all I got for you guys today. Stay focused, stay disciplined, stay dedicated, and stay hungry, because lions are always hungry for more. I'm Jovie J. Sumner, sending you love, light, peace, and prosperity. God bless, guys.